All right, good morning and happy Friday. We've got a quiz today. So I'm going to need you guys to take that Google form quiz. That's your attendance for the day, of course. And that can be done anytime, I guess, before midnight, really. So you've got all day to do that, but I wanted to provide you guys with a quick review of all the things that you're going to need to know for your quiz. So first of all, you've got to know, just looking at tables of functions, is this function going to be exponential or not exponential? And this isn't quite in the same order as your quiz. This is going to be the first thing you see in your quiz, just classifying these functions as exponential or not exponential. And then we'll look at some graphs. So we're going to start with equations, because that's what you'll see first in your quiz. And we're going to be looking at functions of the form y equals something. And what we're looking for here is, do I have an exponent? And is that exponent my variable x? Is x in that exponent? So let's look at these exponents. Again, I'm really not even worried about anything else. Nothing else really matters in these equations. I don't need to worry about any other numbers or variables or whatever's going on. All I'm focused on is, in that exponent, do I have the variable x? So here, that's my exponent, 5. X is, of course, not in there. So I'm going to say not exponential. Same thing here. I'm looking at that exponent, and I want to know, is x in there? That's what I'm looking for. So if x is in the exponent, then I have an exponential function. And again, I'm not going to focus on anything else. It doesn't matter what the rest of this stuff is. It can be whatever I want it to be. As long as x is in that exponent, that's what counts. So same thing here. Let's look at our exponent. I do have an exponent, but it's 2, it's not x. So since x is not in the exponent, I'll say it's not an exponential function. And our last one here, looking at the exponent, what do I have in there? I have x minus 9. And what I'm really concerned about, again, is, do I have x in the exponent? And since x is in the exponent, then I would say this is an exponential function. All right, now let's look at some tables. And I'm not going to worry myself with this left column. What I'm really looking at is these numbers and how are they changing. So in the y column, how are these numbers changing? And I'm going to look at, am I multiplying by the same number every time? Am I, taking this first y number and multiplying it by some number to get the next one, and then multiplying that by the same number and by the same number every time? So we're going to see, how is this changing? Well, 25 to 11, I could subtract 14, and I'm just going to check and see if that pattern would keep working for me. So 11 minus 14, that does end up getting me -3. Okay, so that's still working. We'll test it a couple more times. So 3 minus 14 is, negative 3 minus 14 is negative 17. And negative 17 minus 14 is negative 31. So this pattern here of subtracting 14 works. And since I'm adding or subtracting, and I'm not multiplying, this would not be an exponential function. Because again, I'm looking for multiplying by the same thing. Alright, so I'll start with 1 over 49, or 1/49th. And you could type that into a calculator if you wanted to get a decimal to check. So this is 0.020408. So I could type that into my calculator and I could figure out, what do I need to multiply by. But if you're not sure, again, if this part is looking a little confusing, you can always start with 1 and then just see how is it changing in the bottom half of this table. So I could add 6 to get from 1 to 7, but it's pretty clear that that's not going to keep working. So I've got to try a different method. Let's see. 1 times what is going to get me 7? Well, I could do 1 times 7. Let's see if that keeps working. Is 7 times 7 going to get me 49? That seems to work. So I'm going to check the first half of my table now. And I'm going to see if that keeps working. So I'm going to take this decimal, 0.020408163264 etc., and I'll multiply that by 7. And I want to see, will I get the decimal 0.14285 and since I do, since 0.0204081632 times 7 ends up getting me that decimal here, I'm feeling pretty confident. But then I'll just multiply that by 7 to see if I get 1. And if you type that into your calculator, you would end up getting 1. So what have we seen here? This has just shown me that if I multiply any number in this table times 7, I get the next number in the y column. So since I'm multiplying by the same number every time, this is an exponential function. And C, let's see what happens here. So 1/2 to 1. So how could I go from 1/2 to 1? I could multiply by 2, but will that pattern keep working for me? Is 1 times 2 going to end up being 1.5? Well, that's not going to work, but I could test a different route. I could say 1/2 plus 1/2 gets me 1, plus 1/2 gets me 1 and 1/2, plus another half, or 0.5, gets me 2, plus 1/2 gets me 2.5. So this is adding the same thing. So since I'm adding and not multiplying, I'll say that this is not exponential. And this last one here, I'm multiplying by 5 every time. So 1 times 5 is 5, times 5 is 25. And if you were to check that for these top two numbers, that would keep working. So this one here is an exponential function. And our very last problem type on your quiz is looking for exponential graphs. And again, that's where we have something that kind of looks like, maybe a hockey stick or a playground slide here. So these would be exponential, and these would be not exponential. But then we've got to look at exponential growth or decay. So from left to right, what's happening? Is it getting bigger or smaller? Well, from left to right, this one is getting bigger, so that's growth. And this one here